Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligation. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trusts.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of Tuesday, September 26th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Do we have any public comment regarding pending resolutions? We do not, so let's move on. We have a proclamation today. Okay. We have a proclamation claiming Friday, October 6, 2023 as Made in Medina County Day. Made in Medina County Day. The Board of Medina County Commissioners desires to acknowledge the investments and contributions made by local manufacturers to the economy of Medina County and to show our dedication to maintaining a friendly business climate. Medina County is home to nearly 400 manufacturing companies who employ over 9,000 workers, making products that are sold throughout the world. We respect all those who proudly stand behind the goods and services made in Medina County and honor those who continually invest in manufacturing innovation. Manufacturing is and has historically been a cornerstone to strong economies in Medina County and throughout Ohio, and we commend and support this important industry. This industry will be celebrating during Made in Medina County Day on October 6, 2023, through facility tours and educational events to raise awareness and educate residents, students, and businesses as to the economic importance and career opportunities offered by the manufacturing industry. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Medina County, Ohio, that they hereby proclaim October 6, 2023 to be Made in Medina County Day, and we have a couple representatives from Economic Development here to accept the resolution.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Come on up. And if you'd like to say a few words, we would love that.
Yep.
Okay, here you go. Come on up.
All right.
Get it, picture.
Perfect.
There you go.
One more. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Say something?
Sure.
Hi there. Thank you, Commissioners. As they mentioned, we do have several tours on Friday. So if you haven't yet, take a look at our website. You can find some of the tours that are on offer. RSVP for a tour. I know TWB is a really cool spot up in Valley City. There's still tours open there. There's still tours open with Architectural Justice, which is in Brunswick. So again, there are several others that are still open, so take a look at that. And if you've got time on Friday, come out and see some of our cool manufacturers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have resolutions, and first up we have County Engineer, and we have Dan Becker here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've got 3 resolutions for your consideration today. The first resolution is the necessity to close Friendsville Road between Kennard and Chippewa Road. The second is necessity to close Lake Road between Wedgwood and Chippewa Road. And the third is necessity to close Granger Road between State Route 3 and Baghdad Road in Medina Township.
Move to approve the 3 resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Dan. Next up we have Jeremy Cinco, our Sanitary Engineer.
Morning, everyone. 4 resolutions for consideration today. The first is authorizing the sanitary engineer to enter into an agreement with CT Consultants for professional design services to hydraulically model a proposed water tower in the Weymouth Water Tower District. The second is amending a professional design service agreement with Jones & Henry Engineers for the Fenn Road Water Main Replacement Project. The third is authorizing the sanitary engineer department to purchase a 4x4 single rear-wheel drive pickup truck. And the last is authorizing change order number 8 for the Sharon Township Water and Sanitary Improvement Project, and that is the final adjusting change order.
Move to approve the 4 resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Next up we have Holly Murin, our Human Resources Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On our personal changes resolution, we have 2 new hires, Job and Family Services, 2 promotions, 1 at Job and Family Services and 1 in sanitary, 8 rate increases, 3 in sanitary, 1 in maintenance, 2 at Office for Older Adults, 1 in planning, and 1 in Job and Family Services, 2 leave of absence, 1 in sanitary and 1 in building, a resignation at Job and Family Services, termination at Job and Family Services, and a probationary removal in sanitary. Second resolution is amending the table of organizations for Medina County Job and Family Services.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Holly. Next up, we have Brett Thomas, our Finance Director.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have 11 resolutions for you guys today. Our first resolution is increases of appropriations. Our second resolution is transfer of appropriations. You will note on there an amount being transferred over for our local fiscal recovery fund. Our third resolution today is expenditure adjustments for various funds. Fourth resolution is a fund accounting adjustment, which is bringing money from our fiscal recovery fund to cover benefits that we have spent in 2023 for the purposes of setting aside money for OOA's kitchen renovation. Our fifth resolution is revenue adjustments. Our sixth resolution is our first one in a while, updates for 4D reimbursements to our different departments. Our seventh resolution is cash transfers, which will include the money moving over for OOA's kitchen. Our eighth resolution is transfer of inventory between offices. We have an ID printer that's moving. Our ninth resolution is our excess property resolution. This is a rather long list. Our 10th resolution is expenses for county officials. Nothing is out of state this time. And finally, our 11th resolution is our weekly bills in the amount of $1,608,614.91. As always, copies of the bills are available in the auditor's office for your perusal.
Move to approve the 11 resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Chris Jacob, our County Administrator.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
3 resolutions this morning to present. The first authorizes an amendment to an architectural and engineering service agreement for the Medina County Office for Older Adults kitchen renovation project. This would provide for an additional $19,400 in service fees for envelope consulting for the additional detail work that was done for the kitchen project. That would be payable from OOA's funds and not from ARPA funds. Next resolution approves a lease agreement with the City of Medina for use of the 1969 Medina County Courthouse for the operation of the Medina Municipal Court. After much discussion and negotiation, and after approval and execution by the City of Medina, this lease is ready to be finalized, hopefully, with your approval today. Again, just to recap, the term of the agreement is an initial period of 33 years. There are 2 additional 10-year city option renewal periods and additional options thereafter based upon mutual agreement. This is for 28,222 square feet of exclusive use at the building located at 93 Public Square, and 10,217 additional shared square feet. The base rent, $28,222 per year, and there's a fixed rental rate also of $46,218. I believe the mayor is here also.
Yes.
Medina, Mayor Hanwell. I don't know if he wishes to
We're going to
speak.
do the vote, and then we'll have you come right up. So.
Okay, I have one.
Oh, we have a
I
third,
have
sorry,
one
sorry,
more
sorry.
resolution.
All right.
That's okay. This resolution authorizes a change order, once again, for the Office for Older Adults. This is for the construction contract. This contract is with Crown Commercial Construction. Original contract amount, $395,866. Change order amount requested is $41,963. And it says 80 cents, but it's actually 50 cents. So if the clerk could make that correction, my apologies. And this is the first change order, and it has to do with site conditions that were discovered, mostly behind walls and underneath flooring, and covers additional demolition and plumbing expenditures.
Move to approve all three resolutions.
Second.
Discussion?
Just will say, years in the making for the lease, no doubt.
Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Come on up, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. So on behalf of the City of Medina and the Medina City Council, we just want to thank the commissioners for partnering with the city in this collaboration. It saves the county taxpayers' dollars and the city taxpayers' dollars by us sharing the cost of these services. It's also more convenient for the public having the courts in one location here, so people aren't going to one court or the other and needing to be at the opposite one. And it also has an economic benefit to all the businesses in the downtown. The city has been working over 2 decades on trying to find a place for the municipal court because the existing square footage just isn't conducive to today's requirements. And we were actually supposed to be involved in the brand new courthouse that you all built, which was blocked with a citizen initiative requiring us to go to the ballot, and then we weren't able to get that accomplished before the project was going to start. So this is like the next best thing, but still has the advantages of a shared security entry point, shared holding area, as well as the ability to work together and to support one another and share expenses. So on behalf of the city, thank you all very much. I know it was a long and tedious process. Commissioner, now Judge Hudson,
Yes.
and Scott Miller worked on this for probably 18 months, if not longer. And then of late, County Administrator Chris Jacob and Mike Lyons, along with the Board of Commissioners, have all worked together, as has my council, to come to this agreement that we feel is fair and equitable and agreeable to all the parties. So thank you. God
Thank
bless.
you.
So when do you think you'll be moving into the building? What's your target date?
I told them it had to be before December 31st, 2025.
Okay.
Because somebody's not going to be in office thereafter. And
Before you leave, they have to move. Okay.
That's the timeline. We were waiting for this vote today. We're going to release the RFQs. We're going to advertise for the RFQs this Friday. We didn't want to do it prematurely, and then that's going to start the whole process of us selecting an architect, getting actually engineering plans, then bidding, then going. So we're going to keep those timelines as short as we can because we want this project to move along.
Godspeed.
Okay.
Thank you.
God bless.
I did want to say, too, Judge Hudson had an appointment today, and 6 years ago when he was commissioner, he did re-up the start of a whole courthouse project, so I did want to thank him for his leadership on that.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. That's it for right now?
I'm done? Great.
All right, good, thanks.
Okay, department updates. Denise Testa from Planning.
All right, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
So I just have two resolutions for your consideration. The first is authorizing advertisements for bids for the critical infrastructure Village of Lodi Bridge replacement. The second is authorizing an agreement with Kleinfelder for the submission of the Lead Safe Ohio program application, which is due on October 12th.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So for this month, for the Planning Commission, we have two subdivisions that we are reviewing, one in Sharon Township and the other in Montville Township. So we're excited to see those come to the agenda. We also are re-reviewing actually a concept plan in Sharon Township. So this was one that was submitted in 2021, and he's now decided to resubmit it. So we're excited for that. We also are continuing with the Lead Safe Ohio program, as you saw. So we're hoping to hear something. Well, they did tell us that we'll hear something by December, and that's $802,000 that we are applying for. In terms of our program year critical infrastructure, the Lafayette project that is continuing to be worked on, we're working on the dedication plat for that. For our CDBG, finally our 2020 projects, we are closing those out, working with the Department of Finance has been very supportive of that. We are continuing with as you saw, the Lodi Bridge project. The engineer has probably received the permit from the Army Corps, so we're very excited for that to continue moving, and the bid opening is scheduled for November 1st. We are continuing again with the program year 2022 CDBG projects. The Wadsworth Sidewalk project was awarded. Seville is continuing with their comprehensive plan, so we're continuing to advise them. And other than that, I will take any questions.
The three of us had received an email regarding the Bluestone project that you
Yes.
answered for us. Is that potentially coming for November?
We are not sure yet. So we advise Bluestone to at least submit a concept plan, even though it may or may not meet the subdivision definition, because really it's going to be based on the traffic impact study and whether or not public improvements are required. And that's what will kind of either decide whether or not it even applies to our subdivision regulations.
Okay, thank you for responding to that email.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Laura Toth from Office for Older Adults.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you heard from the county administrator, the construction of the Medina kitchen at our agency is underway. Demolition's about done. There's a few things they have to do, plumbing work and wall work as was described. Luckily, we will not be there this Friday because they will be working all day with jackhammers and stuff. So conveniently, there's an event I'll talk about in just a second. We won't be in the building. The hot lunch temporary program at the Salvation Army is going very well. We pick up coffee daily as we can't prepare it in-house. And we've had to shuffle around rooms a couple of times. And for the most part, people are understanding for the most part. The request for proposals for Older Americans Act funding has come out. The hefty grant application is being prepared and will be presented to the board for signature, I'm thinking on Tuesday, October 17th, so in a couple weeks. The funding formula this year is being revised, for 2024, and will finally take into consideration the growth of the senior population in Medina County, incorporating the 2020 census into their allocation numbers. So this should mean more grant dollars available for use in Medina County. Yesterday, we also received the guidelines for the Healthy Aging grant dollars that were included in this year's state budget. This grant application is due to the state on Friday, October 13th. So I have Zoom meetings in the planning stages to get as much input from our Advisory Council on Aging and Disability to come up with a framework for that, and have been working with Commissioner Hambley on that. So that's exciting. We'll have some healthy aging dollars to do projects with, so I'll be happy to report that to you, what we're planning to do. I wanted to hand out our newsletters, but I have it open to the page so you can see that. There's 3 of them there. So you can see the ad for the Oktoberfest this Friday, October 6th. when you're done touring your made for Medina County venues, you can come over and check out the Oktoberfest. This year, due to construction, it'll be held at the Medina Moose Lodge on South Elmwood. We're really happy to be able to use that space. The Moose Lodge has been very supportive of the Senior and Adult Foundation and can donate thousands of dollars to that foundation, and in turn, that money comes back to Office for Older Adults for things that we need. So we're happy to utilize their venue for our event. We have 150 people who have signed up, so we're at capacity, but I hope all of you can come by. It'll be a really good time. There's a group that'll play accordions and such called the Shotskis, and actually the leader of that band is the director of Lake County Office on Aging, so he's quite dynamic. We also have brats and beer, root beer. That'll be root beer. That'll be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Friday, October 6th. We also have planned a Halloween party. That location will be at the Brunswick Rec Center, so we're inviting everybody who comes to the Halloween festivities in Medina to join us in Brunswick, or from anywhere around the county. We have magician Rick Smith, and we have a meal, and that'll be Tuesday, October 31st at 11 o'clock. We are OOA is continuing to educate various groups around the county about the renewal of the Human Services Levy, Issue 15. We thank the commissioners for the support you've given the Adam Board, Children's Services, and the seniors of Medina County. If anyone wants to hear more about what the levy does for Medina County citizens, they can contact any of our offices, or I'm sure talk to you. I do have these educational sheets, and I left them up front in the lobby in case anybody wants to take a look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, next up we have Commissioner resolutions. We are reappointing members to the Medina County Advisory Council on Aging and Disability. We are reappointing Diana Madonna, City of Brunswick member number 1, and Sarah Gardner, at-large member number 1.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Okay, our next resolution is supporting the Ohio Commission for the United States Semi-Quincennial America 250, Ohio.
This is that America 250 that I
Yes.
talked about yesterday, and basically
Yes.
it involves the Medina County Commissioners designating one or more county liaison that works with various agencies, organizations, historical societies, so forth, to help put together community events to celebrate the birthday of America, United States of America. So I would move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. Next up, does anyone have any public comments? Okay, we will move on to discussion session. Jeremy, do you have something?
I'm going to pass this out to you.
Thanks.
There's two more.
Oh, I was going to say,
Yeah,
we're just not short.
I want to say back in early September, the city of Medina had a water main break under the west branch of the Rocky River. And our department has been, working closely with the city here to try and assist them with providing flow to their residents or customers on Granger Road. We have a hydrant-to-hydrant jumper pipe, I'll call it, that's supplying water into their system so their residents have water while we worked out a solution. So on the map that I provided, that yellow line represents the city of Medina's existing, I believe it's a 10-inch cast iron water main. And what the city proposed would be that the county take ownership of that 10-inch line, as I believe these are all Medina Township customers. They are not, this water main is really not as important to the city as it was back in the day. And so the solution, instead of them having to fix that water main under the Rocky River there.
Let me ask you, both sides of this road are the township, right, not the city?
That is correct.
Yes, okay.
And so instead of the city having to repair that water main under the west branch of the Rocky River, the solution was, hey, if you can see on the over at Weymouth and Granger, there's a little bit of red line right there, and then there's some red line over on the right side by the city's existing water plant. So the idea would that we would be doing a tie-in over on Weymouth and Granger, and a tie-in over by their water plant. The benefit to the county here is that it creates a water loop that would benefit our system right here. It benefits the city in that they don't have to worry about repairing that water main under Granger Road. So that's kind of just the overview of this
Do
project.
you have to replace the yellow to update it, upgrade it?
As part of the agreement, there is talk about replacing the, and I think within 9 months of an signed MOU with the city, the current line under the river just west of their water plant, you can see it. It's in the creek bed or the river bed there. You can see it from the surface. So as part of this, we would bore a new water main under along Granger Road under the stream there, which would be a shared cost between the city and the county. Actually, all of this work would be split 50-50 for with the city and the county, which does seem reasonable. Eventually, at some point, the county we would want to replace that existing 10-inch with a 16-inch water main, but that wouldn't be anything until down the road, as the water main would dictate that replacement. I also attached an agreement.
That would be the main that runs under the, along the
yellow line. We would,
The yellow.
we would replace the yellow line essentially. The yellow
will
line.
the boring be sufficient for the increased size, or will that be?
Yeah, we would bore a 16-inch new water main essentially under the river, get it to the west side, and then connect it into the existing line.
Is there a cost savings just to redo the yellow now as you're doing the red, or not really?
I think you're probably looking at $750,000 in that neighborhood, or
Okay.
so, $500,000 to replace that entire yellow line.
Okay.
With the current state that the city's in, I believe it's October 12th, if I'm not mistaken, the EPA wants them to have something done here,
Got it.
or they have to start testing every one of. I don't know if it's every other residence, but they have to start testing the water to make sure that the water is good. Typically, they do that when there's a different source supplying the water, which I guess by definition we are, but we pull the same water out of the same tanks at Spieth Road as the city, so I don't know why that. It's not a different source of water, it's just a different entity. I did attach a copy of the draft resolution, or the draft MOU here, just for your records. The city was hoping to complete this work later this week, and with us not having any type of memorandum of understanding completed yet, I was looking for permission to move forward with this work with the city to at least get this, to get moving on this, so we can get our loop completed. They can get the residents off of the, get the jumper pipe between our hydrants removed, and negotiate in good faith moving forward. I think we've pretty much narrowed, the agreement itself seems pretty good in my opinion. I'm assuming it'll have to go through the city's legal, and I know it would be good to have it, our legal just look through it. One item that I will bring to attention, and it's on page 3 of the agreement. I had made a comment over here and highlighted it. The city does service, there's a 2-inch water main that comes off of one of the city's, I think, 6-inch lines or 10-inch lines.
Water main, but
It's like it's a 2-inch private service line,
Yeah.
correct, that extends east down Granger, up Baghdad, and farther east along Granger Road. My understanding from the city is that back, 30, 40 years ago, I believe a resident, there was a handshake agreement with the city and the resident that they would install this private 2-inch line. I think it was for his house and his parents' house at the time, and that if there's any issues with it, he would repair it. And 30, 40 years later now, I think that him repairing, I don't know if he's still wanting to do it or not, or but my only concern was if we do take that line over, would be that the EPA comes in and says, hey, at some point you, the county, need to take ownership of this private service line and maintain it. It's kind of a hodgepodge. I don't think the city was really familiar with what material was used or where these lines are. So there would be, if that ever had to get replaced with a new line, I think I looked. It was probably be in excess of $1 million, only because we'd have to extend a 16-inch water main east as part of our long-term
For two
planning.
houses.
I think they have.
It's beyond that.
Yeah.
Only a 2-inch line, but it's multiple
I
houses.
think now
Right, yeah.
there's probably, I think maybe upwards of 8 to
On
10.
a 2-inch line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, as time went on, can we hook into this? And then they would just extend the lines and hook.
They've since become city customers.
Correct.
They've been paying city bills, so from their perspective, they're part of the city system, but it's working off of a 2-inch private line.
And if those properties got, transferred or purchased, sold, I don't know how many of those property owners know that this is actually the case, that they're responsible for the repair of that 2-inch line. And my understanding is that when there is a break there, basically no one has water. So it's pretty quick to identify that there is a break, but that's just the only thing that that needs to kind of be vetted out before.
According to this draft agreement, those residences will continue to be city customers?
Correct, until we have a
resolution.
Correct.
Worked out mutual.
Yep.
Beneficial to all the parties, okay.
Correct. So they would this 2-inch line would remain under the would be remain customers of the city, like you said, until there is further time that we agree how to move forward with
And
this.
I think that, my reading of that is it kind of punts on the maintenance and ownership responsibilities for now.
And I believe the EPA reviews that as a private service connection currently.
Okay.
But it would be good to have something in writing from them stating such. And then,
But there's not, I guess the question as it relates to that 2-inch line from my perspective, there's nothing unique to this MOU. Because this MOU, as it relates to that 2-inch line, is basically saying we're status quo for now.
correct.
So there's nothing, the creation of this wouldn't, in the EPA's perspective or anybody else's perspective, change that
Correct.
burden. Okay.
Yep, correct. And then the other exhibits that were attached to, it's referenced in the agreement, just talks about the number of customers that the county would take. I think there's 23, it looks like, on Granger Road that the county would then get. There's 5 more on Granger that require future work. I think that they are on an existing, let's say, 12-inch water line that they would move over to the 10-inch. And then there's a couple customers on Weymouth Road, the Blue Fox Meadow Apartments, 50, and then I think there's that corner church right there. I think they're a customer. And then that there's 10 customers, it looks like, on that private 2-inch water line. So with your permission, I'd like to move forward with at least getting the connections done on over at Weymouth and Granger and over by their water plant to get at least get those customers off the temporary supply that we have now.
I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I'll reach out to the city and Pat Patton and let them know that we're for sure good to move forward with that, and then we'll work out the last of the agreement.
Super, great, thank you.
Sounds
Thanks,
great.
Jeremy.
All right. Well, thanks. That's all I had.
Kyle, did you have anything? Chris, do you have anything else?
Yes. Just briefly, I think we had some very preliminary discussion about the Aramark food service agreement at the Medina County Jail and the detention center, juvenile detention center. We received, as you know, they have requested that the county consider mid-contract year pricing changes, and to which the response was that's not consistent with the agreement that we have in place with your company. So now they have sent correspondence last week, September 7th. Was that last week? Yeah. No, 2 weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. My apologies. And trying to exercise a termination clause in the existing agreement. As you know, this agreement was assumed and assigned from a previous provider, and Aramark agreed to pick up the service provision for the contract period. That contract has renewal options also. The base agreement was for a 2-year period, 2021 and 2022, with 3 one-year renewal options, exercisable at the county's option. They've stipulated, based in this correspondence, that food service contract would effectively end, I believe, based on the short email message that we received, December 5th of this year. The current contract period does go to December 31st and does provide, once again, that we have the option to renew the service provision, and that service provision would be based on the CPI for the previous 12-month period. I've corresponded with the prosecutor's office to get their determination as to whether that their exercising of that termination clause is in fact consistent, again, with the agreement. Their answer has been, you should probably just proceed and rebid the contract services, making the assumption that whatever happens effective January 1, we're probably going to have to go through this process. So I just wanted to update you on that. I think I would present to you within a week or two a resolution authorizing the bid process to move forward. I would like that period to begin, the service period to begin January 1 of 2024 rather than December 5th. And I've reached out to Aramark stating that, assuming that the county accepts their ability to exercise that termination clause, what would we do during the month of December? Could they continue service levels based on the existing pricing structure or some other structure? I've not gotten a response to that. I will try to reach out again today. But with your permission, I would like to proceed with introducing a resolution probably within a week, again, or two, to proceed with the bidding process, certainly for the period, I hope, of January 1st, 2024. We have another existing contract with the county home that is not affected by this recent correspondence from Aramark. So I just wanted to update you and kind of prepare you for having to deal with this.
Odd that they wouldn't be trying to change the county home contract, but they want
Well, that's a much more favorable rate structure for them.
Okay.
So
I'm fine with the request for proposal process, getting that moving forward. I'm not inclined at this point to do anything that waives any of our rights. I'd like to reserve our rights to challenge their, purported termination of the contract, because I do think we're in a contract year.
Yes, we are.
So I'm not inclined to, preemptively waive any of those rights unless it's part of kind of a bigger solution. So once we have a little bit more clarity from them, I guess maybe we can consider that as an option. But obviously, if they're not inclined to continue to do it, there's no sense in us trying to renew a contract that we know they're not going to honor. So the request for proposal, I think, is an absolute at this point. So
I would agree.
I agree as well.
okay, thank you. And just to follow up to last week's meeting, we have scheduled, with your permission, a couple presentations on this Thursday
Yes.
afternoon, one at 2 o'clock with the Village of Seville, one at 3 o'clock with the County Sheriff, and then some other additional discussion regarding presentations that were made last week from our sanitary engineer and from our facilities director. And this has to do with additional allocation of remaining ARPA dollars. So that'll be Thursday afternoon. That's all I have, unless you have anything for me.
Thank you so much. Anything for Chris?
Thank you.
Steve, do you have anything?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, I know that, I understand that the EMA Executive Committee has decided to conduct an organizational meeting of the advisory per the agreement in November 15th, was it?
Yes.
Okay. And I'd like to ask that we send out a letter to all the parties that are now part of the agreement, and I believe it's all but two jurisdictions, asking them to identify who's going to represent them at that organizational meeting. I would like to have that resolved before the meeting. I know.
And they might not even have notice of it yet either.
Right, and we just need to send the notice, but I'll likewise let them, because many of them giving townships, maybe meet once or twice during that period of time. We need to make sure that they have the opportunity to identify who represents them. And for clarity purpose of the, Aaron, you're going to be running the meeting. We will also know who represents what jurisdiction. Doesn't mean others can't attend and participate, but at least when it comes to voting and making those determinations as to future representation on the executive committee, that what votes to count when we go through roll call. And I know we still have an ongoing, I guess, disagreement between the city of Wadsworth, who likely will represent them, and I certainly would.
I haven't heard any more on that in terms of a disagreement.
Well, at least we have some letters that date a couple months ago where their law director had a different opinion than our prosecutor, and my hope is that they would maybe have resolved that, and I know you had conversations with the safety director over there, and hopefully they will be able to officially identify who represents them at that meeting, in which case it can be resolved before the meeting rather than during the meeting.
So actually, it's funny you brought that up, because this was on my list as well. I did have a meeting with Mike Lyons yesterday to review kind of the format of that meeting, and one of the things we spent a fair bit of time on was the representatives. And I do have some concerns about. Well, I did have some concerns. I think they've been remedied, but I'll let you know here in a minute. I had some concerns about exactly what you mentioned. Is there enough lead time for meetings to appoint individuals? But in Mike's reading of the language of the agreement, the reference to the advisory board representative is the chief executive of the subdivision.
Right.
So kind of as a default principle, it seems that would refer to the chair of a board of trustees. If the chair were not in attendance and the vice chair attended, then the vice chair. So in the absence of any further action, it would be the chair or the vice chair, and if the third trustee attended, then they could fill that spot. But we also entertained the prospect, and I think this will be part of the letter that you're suggesting, of indicating that to the chair and saying if the chair is inclined, or out of necessity, if none of the trustees can attend, and they want to appoint an alternative representative, be it a fiscal officer or another representative of we're talking townships here specifically, because they're the ones that don't have the neatly defined chief executive.
Right.
Then we'll provide a mechanism for them to do so.
Yeah.
But Mike's interpretation, for purposes of our discussion yesterday, that could be done at the direction of the chair, meaning they don't necessarily need to have a meeting to do it. So that gives a little bit more flexibility.
That's good.
And is also, I think, consistent with our mutual goal of having that clarity that we really need to run an organizational meeting.
Agreed.
So yeah, that we did. I think I felt very comfortable about that coming out of that meeting, because it does, not to say there's a hierarchy, in a board of trustees any more than there is in a board of commissioners, but in the absence of any other direction, it would be the chair's responsibility to cast the vote. If the chair's not there, it would be the vice chair's responsibility, and if neither of them are there, then the third trustee would be able to cast a vote, absent any further direction from the township.
Well, since the first real organizational meeting since the creation of the in the 1990s or 80s, wherever it was. So
are we creating the letter, or is EMA going to create the letter?
I told this was a conversation between Mike and I, because this is one of those interesting situations. The organizational meeting, I believe, is the commissioners' meeting to call.
And advertised commissioners.
Right. So it's not a meeting of the Board of Commissioners. It's a meeting of the advisory group of the EMA.
Right.
But it is our responsibility to call it, and we will be presiding over that meeting. So,
Well,
and we will also be identifying our representative on the
Correct.
As well as the second commissioner.
Right.
For that
And
purpose.
I like the idea of getting it out like this week or early next week, so they have more than a month notice to get it on their calendars.
And I was going to be working on that. We were going to be working on that here in our office this week, because I think that timeline needs to, both for purposes of notice and for purposes of delegation.
Right.
So.
All right.
Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, at the risk of seeming to beat a dead horse, the Natural Resources Assistance Council, Ohio Public Works Commission, District 9, we had a scoring meeting of the projects that were presented last Friday. The #1 top scored project to receive Green Ohio funds was the Park District Bell Woods project over in Liverpool Township. 270-plus acres with actually the opportunity to grow up to 640 acres with future purchases. $1.9 million to be awarded to the Park District for that. That's the top recommendation from the district. We have sufficient money for the regional to cover. We have over $3 million, so it will cover that, and we'll be going down to the state as a matter of form. And we did need a regional climate action plan to tell us that that was a good thing and benefits not only community but also our environment.
Thank you.
That's great.
You're welcome.
Do you have anything else?
He actually stole my thunder with first, which is fine. It's good when we're on the same page, because that EMA, that November 15th is coming up quicker probably than any of us realize, and it is going to be the first
We should probably publicly
exercise.
discuss, I mean, the representatives that we're going to choose now, if we're going to putting in
Sure.
a letter.
Sure.
So, I mean, I would like to, I've had 5 years on EMA, so I would like to nominate you two as the 1 and 2 representatives.
The leading, and then I'll jump out as the added.
Is that okay?
That's fine with me. I'm
Okay.
happy to
Good.
continue
I've
serving.
done my 5 years, so I think
Okay, all right.
it would be okay to.
Is that our unofficial term?
We're
limit?
relay.
Yeah. Okay, so the only thing I had, we had received a notification from CCAO that there had been some discussions statewide about the size of the atom boards. So I reached out to Philip, and ours is 14, and they would like to stay at 14. So according to the discussions and the things that are going on statewide, if we choose to stay at 14, there's nothing more we need to do.
Right.
So we are all good according to
We
those
have-
discussions
that's
and what's
a-
going on with atom boards, and we do not need to do anything
I
further.
know, and then, the mayor, you've served on the Atom Board for many years and so forth. You believe it's a sufficient size?
Yeah, I am not now.
Right, but you have.
I'm limited out, but yeah, I was in for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And, yeah, 14 seems to work well.
Well, and it was just interesting if you had certain sizes, there was nothing more you
Right,
needed to
yeah.
do, but if you wanted to make any changes, it's kind
Correct.
of a long process, but we're all good, so.
But that's one
I
of
think
those-
there's some interest in
Yeah.
the larger counties to have larger boards with more representation from the locals.
Yeah.
The county and the county commissioners, as opposed to the state, so.
But that's one of those boards you look down locally at the people we have on it, mayor having
it's
served on
top-notch
it. and
board.
Yeah,
It's a top-notch board.
they're people that if they say that's the right number, I defer to them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
So, we are all good. I did have a question, at the last check that we checked last week, it was Litchfield, Spencer, Village, and Homer that we didn't have agreements for. Which one did we get if we're down to 2?
For EMA, I think it's just Litchfield and Homer that we're missing.
Litchfield and Homer now.
Do we have Spencer Village?
Because somebody said 2, and I thought we were missing 3.
Okay, well, we're good.
Okay.
In my mind, it's Litchfield and Homer, but I'm not. Maybe I'm
probably do a
mistaken on
reminder.
Spencer. Yep.
Yeah.
And we will send that out as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
okay.
because
Yeah.
we had always kind of envisioned, and we've discussed this at executive committee meetings. I think we've also discussed it at our board meetings as well. That there was a good long time of ratification window in there, but if somebody's not ratified by Halloween, it would be hard for them to scramble and do it. And, we do have to make plans to run this initial meeting. So I think Halloween is a good kind of cutoff point. Also, I think an entity can choose to participate with that. An entity can pay and be part of the benefit of the organization without ratifying the agreement. Isn't that also how? So that, but for voting purposes, I think we need a ratified agreement prior to October 31st. So,
Agreed.
not to confuse things any more than they already are.
Anything else?
No.
I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, go to an executive session to consider the sale or purchase of property and to consider the compensation of a public employee.
Second.
Roll.
Hambley?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes. We will see you all
Thank
next
you.
week. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, Mayor.